Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Thanks everyone for joining us today. My name is Matt Gagel. I'm the Outreach and Volunteer Manager at Montgomery History. We're excited to continue to offer these online history conversations through Zoom. I do want to point out that we are managing attendees and that people are muted when they join, so we are taking steps to alleviate any issues that could potentially come up. And that is what I'll be doing while Glenn is talking. I'll make sure that everything runs smoothly. If you have any questions, you can use the chat function in the Zoom app and send them to me. At the end of Glenn's talk, I will read those out to him. We'll get to as many as we can. And he did a great job last time handling the questions, and I don't doubt that he will do such a great job again today. Also want to point out that we just recently launched our History Connected Hub on our website. If you go to montgomeryhistory.org/mhconnected, you can visit our new hub where we have collected a lot of our resources that are available to all of you through our website while you are stuck at home. We are trying to make sure that the resources continue to be available, and we are working to create new ones. We do have a couple more talks coming up next week. Next Tuesday, Lorraine Miner will be giving a talk about family genealogy research online. And then on, I believe, Thursday, although the days all kind of run together, Jim Johnston will be giving an update on Rousers Ford, which he did present back in the fall, I believe, in our location at the Bell Dawson House. And he's done quite a bit more research, and it's very fascinating. He's kept us in the loop. We're looking forward to both of those presentations next week. The details, again, are on our website, montgomeryhistory.org/mhconnected. Click on the watch link, and that'll give you more details. Starting, I believe we'll have those posted later today or Monday. I think that's it. I will also mention we do really appreciate your support. We've received quite a bit through the Power to Give campaign that we had a couple weeks ago, and we continue to receive support. If you would like to continue to support us, again, visit our website, montgomeryhistory.org, and click on the Donate Now button. We appreciate it. It helps us to continue to offer these programs and provide many more programming options, including ones that we have not yet announced. All right, with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Glenn. Glenn is, I can never remember the term. He can probably correct me. It's a very interesting phrase for someone who is passionate about graveyards. But with that, I'm going to hand it over to him. This is a great talk, and we'll let you go ahead, Glenn.
Okay. Are we good?
We are good. Just need you to turn on your screen share there.
All right, coming in. Excellent. Okay. Good morning to everybody. Thank you for joining us today for this. I want to thank Montgomery History for hosting this conversation, and also obviously Matt. Matt, you're doing a great job with these. It's a great thing that we are able to share our passions with our community. I can introduce myself. I am a graphic illustrator by trade, and I have a very strange full-time hobby working with cemeteries. I would assume that from the title and at your attendance that you are somewhat interested also in cemeteries, and you understand their historic importance to our towns and our counties and our states. And we would like to have them around for as long as possible, regardless of their current condition. It's always great to see how far we can take these things into the future for the future generations. Yeah. I am frozen. Oh, here we go. Okay, I will begin with this image here. Speaking of the future, imagine your cemeteries that you like to visit today. Imagine 200, 300 years from now. This is what you're looking at. How would these people know that there was ever a cemetery there? Would they find sprigs of periwinkle around? You would always find these in cemeteries. Ground depressions. Those would be the giveaways that you would come across and feel the ground sagging. Groundhog holes are very evident in cemeteries because groundhogs apparently love disturbed earth. So all the earth above the vaults. You might also find some cut field stones out there. If you look and you see anything that's standing upright, or you see a few of these field stones in a row, it could be a cemetery, burial ground. There's also hidden discoveries. You go a little bit deeper into this thicket and you may find something such as this. And this one here is out in Laytonsville, the cemetery that we discovered. Hollings River Chapel of Ease Cemetery. So why do we care about this? We respect every resting place of our state's residents, all states. We value their existence as historic burial grounds. We strive for the preservation of what remains today. And we care because we're concerned about their loss to neglect, vandalism, erosion, and most importantly, development. How do we proceed? We can utilize the improved sources and technology, such as the internet, things that they did not have 30, 40, 50 years ago. We hold it in our hands now. We can communicate online with companies, corporations, industries, and local people, such as myself, who can offer suggestions. We also are using these smart devices that have all sorts of tools and gadgets that you can use. Specifically, you can use that for scanning. We can scan maps and we can scan records. You're also holding what is a GPS device. If you go to a cemetery, you can track its GPS coordinates. And we also have at our disposal the county's GIS system, Geographic Information System, which has all of the information around the county, the tax maps and all that. And we are now identifying cemeteries on those maps. There has been a vast increased interest in genealogy recently, specifically Ancestry.com and also FamilySearch.org. A lot of people are doing DNA testing and they're trying to find out who they're related to. And when this comes to small communities, you start to see in these small cemeteries or medium-sized cemeteries how everybody is related. You can utilize a website called findagrave.com. If you are not familiar with it, I would suggest that you spend a couple hours or days during this downtime to go visit it, to get a look at it. There are 180 plus million online memorials of people through cemeteries throughout the United States and globally. We are also tracking the loss of burial sites in traditional communities. And by that I mean the African American communities had burial grounds surrounding their old churches. Those properties are now gone, and the cemeteries that we have discovered recently are found underneath parking lots, or they have been uprooted and the graves have been moved to other cemeteries. We want to recognize and advocate those who are preserving local cultural heritage. Bring these people to the forefront. All it takes is one person to start this movement if you were trying to save a cemetery. If you know somebody that is trying to do this, point them out to us, point them out to Montgomery History, and we will work with them and help fight their cause. Promote state laws focused on protection, access, assistance, and encouragement. Most recently, back in 2018, laws were passed that are specific to allow people to go into areas that have cemeteries, known cemeteries, and take records of it, photograph it, and take that information and share it. Support local cemetery projects and county inventories. There are opportunities out there for cleaning cemeteries, just weeding and cutting grass, and little projects for the scouts that perhaps the scouts are looking for something to do. They can help vastly to clean up a cemetery in your area. Volunteer. It's, I think, one of the most important things that each person should do during their lifetime. Find your passion and volunteer. Man hours are important when it comes to doing what we're trying to save. I've spoken of the cemetery inventory project. This was originally started in 2004, and then with this new age of digital technology, we revisited it in 2018. I was coordinating this project, and what I basically did is I took the county and I identified of the 324 cemeteries. We built a grid system, so that a 4.5 mile grid system, so that the project, the zone leaders could go out with their teams and visit each zone and take the records that we needed, the photographs that we needed, the GPS coordinates that we needed, and they specifically stuck within that zone, that 4.5 mile zone. This is just a blow up of one of those zones, and you can see the red dots. Those are all cemeteries within Montgomery County. And it was very easy for these zone leaders to contain their volunteers specifically to those sites. All of that information then was gathered and handed over to Montgomery Planning. And what they had then done is put it onto their GIS system, which is what you see here. All of those green dots and the white dots are cemeteries. And by clicking on that website that you see down bottom, you can pull up the information. At the very top, you can see the old form that was submitted back in 2006 in this case, and the 2018. What has changed in all those 12 years at that location? I then took it a step further, and I've added all of these sites onto Google Maps. And that basically gives you the opportunity, if you wanted to go out one weekend and do a cemetery tour, you can go to Google Maps, pick the cemeteries, and those cemeteries would come up, and you would be able, using Google Maps technology, get directions directly to it. The results of that cemetery inventory are staggering. I love it. It's, like I said, we found 324 county cemeteries. That's 55 more than were discovered or known about in 2004. Of those, 16 cemeteries were relocated, meaning the bodies were removed from that cemetery, but we knew its original location and we were able to go to that location and survey it. 63 cemeteries were considered lost. And because again, we knew through county records or family lore where these cemeteries should be within a 1 mile area, and we developed a survey for that one. Most exciting, though, is that of those lost cemeteries from 2004, we found 12 of them and visited them, photographed them, took the survey questionnaire, the GPS coordinates, and those surveys were completed. I found it very interesting during the process that 13 of the county cemeteries are located within public park settings. So how do you begin your preservation journey? You do not have to be a professional anything to do this. Again, it's all volunteer work. One aspect that you could possibly do is mapping of cemeteries. If it's a small cemetery, it's a very easy process. Basically, a very quick animation here. What I do is I go out there with ropes and sticks and I map out a grid, square grid, and I fill in I draw the chords into a 10-foot by 10-foot grid. And then I just go each grid square, photograph it, draw it, figure it out, and then we'll compile that later into a graphic illustration of a map. Here's two images of what we're looking at here. You can see those roped grid lines. And here are two examples of the end product. This is a valuable resource for the future. Anybody researching cemeteries or family members in these old abandoned cemeteries, they will have this information. And this has been shared with counties organizations. So they'll have these in their records. And you can see on the left, the Barnesville Methodist Episcopal Cemetery. This is the current conditions that you're seeing, stones just scattered everywhere, but we included the names there. And on the right, a much bigger cemetery, I believe this was 1.5 acres. They just needed it for their records. They did not have anything to go by and or know where there was any available burial sites. And this map helped them. Preservation. When you find a cemetery and you want to do a little your bit to help, the first thing you're going to want to do is prepare to find the unexpected. What is buried in those woods, you just don't know until it's all cleared out. Prepare to look deeper. What you're seeing on the left is basically decades of fallen trees, fallen limbs, fallen leaves, overgrown thickets. So you want to be prepared to go a little bit farther than what you can see. Prepare to research. You might want to know a little bit more about the area and the families and the farms that were there in that location. That is accessible from online resources. Prepare to engage with the neighbors of this area. They may know stuff that is not in county records. Family tales. They, as children, may have seen this cemetery before the overgrowth, and they might know. They might have stuff to share. Be prepared to be astounded. Once this starts clearing, these things start clearing, and you start to see the cemetery, it's amazing what you're going to share, and you're going to share these stories with your friends. But do no harm to the cemetery. Do no harm to the stones that are there. We want to make sure that we take the overgrowth away so that we can just see the cemetery as it is today. Here is the example of the Barnesville Cemetery that I spoke of during that mapping. This is the condition I found it in 2009. This is the, it's connected to a residential property. There used to be the Barnesville Methodist Episcopal Church along the front of the road, but that was torn down in 2012. The cemetery obviously was abandoned, and the homeowner who acquired it basically did nothing to preserve it, and actually went as far as tearing down all of the gravestones by running over them with his vehicle. This is a couple years later. I went back. We started to clear some of the overgrowth and pick out what we could and set it aside. Nothing was disturbed, but the broken trees, the fallen trees were all removed. And then we had a volunteer day back November of 2018. We went in, mowed all the yard, pulled out all the weeds, and actually started discovering where this man had started piling the gravestones. You see them there in the foreground. We assumed that they were not in the location of the burial of the body because they were just stacked and buried under dirt. Also, we're finding artifacts that have come to the top of the ground. Coffin handles, hinges, fence posts. There was obviously another fence family burial area there. But this is all done through volunteerism, and what we're doing is this cemetery will someday be restored. This is another example, a cemetery that you might come across. This is the first vision of the cemetery that I found during the cemetery inventory project. And I thought, I was looking at, I see 1, 2, 3 stones. And I thought that was the extent of the cemetery, but apparently not. The man who bought the house in the background acquired this area as part of that purchase. And he knew that it was a cemetery. He'd been contacted by people to say, hey, my family's buried there. And he started clearing it by himself. And what we're finding here is, again, buried stones. They've fallen off their bases, mud, years of debris on top of them. And slowly, he is recovering the entire family cemetery. There's actually 2 families here. It's a Waters family cemetery in Olney. And we're finding 2 areas, distinct areas within these woods of the families. And here we have the homeowner on the right, and the man on the left is standing on his great-great-great-grandfather's grave. He came to visit the same day I was there. Another example is the Young Ramsburg Cemetery. This one was considered lost on the cemetery inventory. It is listed as #1 of the 324 cemeteries. And we were contacted by a gentleman who remembers the homeowner at the time of that farm, taking him to a site. And he brought us out there. We talked to the new homeowner and we said, hey, this guy thinks that there's a cemetery back here. Do you mind if we go look? He sent us back there. And this is kind of what we found. We found overgrowth of trees and Osage orange trees. You can see them all over the ground there. And we gathered some volunteers and we went in there and we cleared it. And here you see all the fallen stones and the end product of a cleaned, recovered cemetery. Restoration. It's important that you're looking at this image. People want to immediately reset stones, but right now I would recommend, if you're not a conservator by profession, please just leave the stones on the ground as they are. There are ways of resetting it, and we'll talk about that shortly. But everybody wants to jump in and fix things, but right now, let's just talk about it. Here we have example. This is at Monocacy Cemetery. You see on the far left at the bottom of the Brewer Monument, a bunch of broken pieces. Those have been there for Lord knows how long. But what one of our volunteers did is go in, gather the pieces, clean them, just scrub them, and assemble them together and use an epoxy to put it back together, as you see on the right. Great job. Other examples there are these are cleaning examples. All it takes is water only, and a scrub brush, a bristle brush or a nylon brush. That's all we're using to restore these stones back to their beautiful, the day that they were carved. More examples. You can see on the left how it started off with all the algae and the fungus on there, scrubbing it clean, and then the product on the right, the standing monument, is pristine. With the other two on the right, again, all it takes is water, a little elbow grease, and scrubbing, and we can do this. Volunteers can do this at that level. That's a segue into the cemetery, Monocacy Cemetery project that I began back in 2005. Visiting the cemetery, I had no idea it even existed. I was sent out on a volunteer basis to find a photograph, a gravestone for a woman of her great-great-great-grandmother. Got to the cemetery and I actually parked right next to the woman's grave, was able to take a photograph, and just spent the rest, probably 5 hours, walking around the cemetery. This cemetery began as early as 1752 with Sarah Carlisle. That's a stone that was mentioned in the archives that a passerby wrote down in a journal. So that's the earliest date that we have. The congregation that was gathered there at the Chapel of Ease at the time before the Civil War eventually moved out to Poolesville in 1849. But in 1872, a few decades later, they annexed this cemetery back to a private cemetery. So it's been since 1872 that it's been operating as that cemetery. To date, we have 5,721 burials that have been archived. The property itself is 13 acres. This is a graphic on the right that you see of an aerial of the cemetery. And when you find a cemetery, in order to take a site survey, you're going to want to walk. You're going to want to walk a lot. You want to start to see patterns and the views and where the lots are. If you can't, you can figure this out. It takes a while, but obviously the rows on the right you can see, but the lots themselves, the family lots, were a little bit harder to pick out. Go through and meticulously photograph each plot, each burial site, and each gravestone. That's a record that is going to be valuable to your archive and to the cemetery's archive. Generate a site map of that. I know a lot of people aren't graphic illustrators like myself, but if you can do some sketching, all it is, take some gridded paper out there and start drawing what you're seeing within those grid squares. Pick a grid square, like 10 by 10, and you do it that way. Use standardized labeling for rows and lots and the site. Here is the map I came up with on the right of just that. You can see the rows clearly now, and each site, or each lot, sorry, is numbered. And this has been used by our caretakers to sell our properties. They can go out and say, hey, I'll go out to row G, site 45. You can use, these people can use this map. They can pick it up at our chapel and walk to that site now. This is a detailed version of that site map. This is for the caretakers to use, and this shows every single burial site within Monocacy Cemetery. You're going to want to begin researching that cemetery. See what existing information the caretakers might have. You might want to go down to the county libraries and figure out if they have any information. Go also onto Ancestry.com. If you're seeking a name on a gravestone, you can look that name up probably on Ancestry.com, see if there's family members. And now each site starts to make a little bit more sense of how these people are related. Obituaries. They give a lot of information. Family members are usually named. The parents are named, the spouses are named, the children are named. Their professions are probably going to be named. If they were in the military, it might be mentioned. Newspaper articles. They were the kind of funny way of gathering information, because back in the day, turn of the century, if you went to visit your aunt's house, they wrote about it in the paper. So now I know this person and a family member, a distant family member, and the connections started to make sense. Contact relatives. Facebook. Ironically, Facebook became a valuable tool to me. If I saw a family name or in a child or a grandchild mentioned in an obituary, I would contact them on Facebook. Why not? And see if they have any information that they could add to enhance that person's archive. You're going to build a database of all the information that you're going to gather. Transcribe the cemetery registries that the caretakers should have. They might have burial cards for each lot, and also purchase records. You want to know who the original person who purchased the lot. They may not be buried in that lot, but again, it's valuable information. Consolidate all of that information into one electronic file. I use Microsoft Excel. It's very simple to use, and our caretakers also have access to that. So what you see, those burial cards in the middle there, we still use those as a backup, but our digital database is what we're using now moving forward. Online memorial. I've mentioned findagrave.com. It is incredible what the amount of information that you can include on each person's memorial. We have, like I said, 5,719 people buried in our cemetery, and each one of those has a memorial on findagrave.com. So anybody from the outside could actually just go online, findagrave.com, look up their great-great-grandmother, find that person, and on their biography, you'll see, or on their memorial page, there's links to their parents, their children, perhaps, their profession, if they were in the military. All that information, biographical information, is included. You'd want to share this. This information that you're assembling, it's very important that you might want to share it with your local or county historical societies, historic district groups also, because this cemetery is probably the center of life out in these districts. It might be important to them that you've completed this task. Gives them more information for their groups. And preservation organizations. I'm sure everybody that wants to share their information. The preservation organizations can use this information as what we're doing right now. I'm speaking to you, to this organization about this, and hopefully you can go out and share this opportunity, and again, just build this community. This is an example of our database. What you're seeing here is a condensed version of my Excel file. And here you see, going left to right, where each person is buried in the row, the lot, the site, their last name, first and middle names, a wife's maiden name, birth date and place, death date and place, the day they were buried, their Find a Grave memorial, which is an active interactive link that you can go off to the website, their spouse, marriage date and place, a list of their children, their known children, and also their parents. At the very end, you see military as well. If they were in the military, we're including that. The reason is because the veterans that we have at Monocacy Cemetery, we hold in high regard. We have 400 of them. And here you see on the left, these are photographs, portraits that were given to me by family members. And these are our Civil War veterans, both the Union and the Confederate. Going back to our site map, what I basically did is I plotted each one of our veterans on here, and in a second you'll see there they all are. So if you wanted to go out and visit all the people who are in the Army, you go out to the green dots, all the Navy, the blue dots and such, you know, in the stars, you see where all the Civil War soldiers are buried. And here is a list. We keep a list every month. If a new veteran is brought to our cemetery, they get added to our poster here. And this is right next to our chapel. Here, I'll close this. This is a mini project within the Monocacy Cemetery project. And this kind of brings all of these preservation topics together. This was a stone that was in our cemetery back when I began. And it really was one of my favorite stones. It was so unique. And I found out at the time that the man who carved this stone was the son-in-law of the man listed on the stone. And he carved this eagle on site while he was standing there. The man's wife died, and she wanted to be buried over in Aspen Hill and at Gate of Heaven. But they didn't allow standing stones, and she wanted to move her husband there. And it was like, so one day I showed up, and this stone was now gone. Found out that they were both reinterred over there at Gate of Heaven, and I wondered whatever happened to the stone. It took me 4.5 years to track down the man who sculpted it, the son-in-law, and I asked him if it would be possible to bring this stone back to our cemetery as an all-veteran memorial. And he gladly gave it to us. And we included a bronze plaque over the name of his father-in-law. And we're just pleased to have it there. I want to mention that during Memorial Day and Veterans Day, we have volunteers come out and place flags at all 400 veteran graves. We also host Eagle Scout projects at our cemetery. If you're looking for such a thing, that Eagle Scouts can come out and do some cleaning or whatever. It's a great opportunity for them. That is the conclusion of my presentation. I would like to call out that I am also on the board of the Coalition to Protect Maryland Burial Sites. You see our website there. You can go to that website and find a vast amount of information about cemeteries within the state of Maryland. And we also have the laws that are being changed. We add that in there, and topics around the state cemetery topics, we're including those. Also, on the right, you see Trader Foundation for Maryland Burial Sites. I'm also on the board there. And this is an organization that sponsors grants for people who need a little financial help in getting their cemetery projects put forth. So if you have a need, if you really have a need and need some financial help, please contact us. My email right there, mococems, Montgomery County Cemeteries, mococems@gmail.com. Please feel free to contact me, and I will help you as best I can to get you what you need. With that, that's it. And I guess we will start taking questions.
Thanks, Glenn. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to use the chat function to send them. I will say, Glenn, it looks we had a little bit of an audio issue on your end. I was able to hear most everything, but if anybody has any things that they would like Glenn to repeat, please, again, use the chat and we'll try and get them.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. Don't see any questions at the moment. While we're waiting for any questions, I just want to point out again, thanks everyone for joining us. It was great for all of you to join us. We do have 2 more conversations coming up next week on Tuesday the 14th at 2 p.m. Lorraine Miner, who is part of the Genealogical Society of Montgomery History, will be giving a presentation on online family research. I'm really looking forward to that. And then on Thursday at 10:30 in the morning, Jim Johnston is going to give an update on Rousers Ford. I am looking forward to that. I have a passion for Civil War history, so I'm excited for his update on that, affecting a critical moment in the Civil War. We do have a question here. A lady says, what is the process for gaining permission from current landowner to work on his property?
Conversation. Just please, you have to start the dialogue. So you would start with him or them. It's basically it's that simple. If they give you permission to work on a cemetery, I think that's pretty much all you need. You have to make them aware, though, that you are not going to do any harm to that cemetery. You have to be very careful with what you're proposing to do. If it involves resetting stones, you want a professional in there. You do not want to hurt the stone or yourself. These stones can be very heavy and they can cause serious damage to you and the stone itself. So work with a conservator, and perhaps the owner would like to, lend a hand. It would be great.
Okay, the next question I just got here was, did the son-in-law have the original, hold on a second, I lost my place. Sorry, did the son-in-law have the original gravestone back? Is that where you found it? And then
Yep.
parentheses, the eagle one that was taken down.
Yes. It was wonderful. The stone itself turned up in the backyard, in his back garden. And I think he was shocked when I contacted him. Like, can we have our stone back, or your stone back? And it was. He kept the upright part of the stone with his father-in-law's name on it, and that's now the base. Like I said, we put the bronze plaque over the father's name.
I have a person who says, might be useful to point out on permission that state law protects property owners from liability if they grant access to a cemetery.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. And then I have another person who says, found a mention in Tennessee Historical Doc that Jane Clark of Clarksburg Clarks died from accident in 1824, lived near Monocacy, married to Charles Wilson. Eldest daughter, Sarah, married Dr. Thomas S. Poole of Poolesville.
Mm-hmm.
Have searched deaths too early. Newspaper accounts, none. Cemeteries for Clarks and Wilsons, nothing. What should I do with this information? Found 1990 inventory of Clark burial site, had unidentified markers. Wilson later moved to Kentucky.
First recommendation, have they gone onto findagrave.com to search by name? That would be my first thing to do.
She says yes.
Oh boy. And I guess, wow. It's a mystery, and I love them. Can she email me this information?
I will. If you want to reach out to me, if you guys, she says yes. She'll email the information. If you want to say your email address one more time.
Yes, Mococems, MOCOCEMS @gmail.com.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I would love to help her out on this.
Okay,
that'd be great.
I have a gentleman who's asking, it's hard to believe that scrubbing a stone is the ideal treatment. Assuming you had unlimited time and money, isn't there anything better?
I take my time when I clean a stone. I'm not in any rush to do it. I know I've heard people say, "Oh, I'm going to bring a power washer with me, and I'm going to use my bleach and my wired brush." No, you cannot use any of that. It's water and a scrub brush, and you're doing good for the stone by cleaning off the algae and lichen, but don't rush it. There's no need to rush it.
All right. Mike from Rockville Cemetery says, Can you address some of the major concerns and processes for the storage, preservation, and access permissions to Monocacy's digital files?
Okay, hi Mike. I think the best way for you to see everything I've done, everything that is in our records is on findagrave.com. When we find information for each person, we include it in their biography and all the links that are included on that. If you go to our website, monocacycemetery.com, you can see a lot of the project itself, what we've been doing, documents. Also, I put a group up on Facebook. Interesting, you'll be able to see over 3,500 portraits that we've collected from family members. I've put every single one on Facebook, and I've included a link on that photograph description that takes you to their Find a Grave website. In terms of the actual physical database, the digital file, no, we're not going to be sharing that publicly for personal reasons, because it includes purchase information for burials or burial lots and phone numbers and addresses of owners. So it's not really necessary to see that. I know Rockville Cemetery also has a similar database, and it's proprietary information specific to the cemetery. The information that we can share is on findagrave.com.
All right, any other questions? Thanks, Glenn.
Sure.
Any questions? I got a few more minutes here. We can, before we wrap things up. I do want to also point out, we do appreciate your support. If you would like to help continue to make programs such as this possible, visit our website, montgomeryhistory.org, and click on the Donate Now button. And we appreciate all your support. Glenn, do you have the name of that Facebook group that you just referenced?
The Facebook group, it's Monocacy Cemetery.
Pretty simple.
There you go.
All right. Mike says, gotcha. Thanks, Glenn, and best regards.
Thank you, Mike.
All right. Any other questions? I'll give it a minute here. For future talks, again, visit our website, montgomeryhistory.org/mhconnected. We look forward to seeing you all again soon. And we're working on lining up a bunch more talks for the rest of the month and moving into May, as we kind of anticipate that we will continue to have to offer these. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. That's mgagle, MGAGLE, @montgomeryhistory.org. All right, I think that's it. Glenn, any last thoughts or things you want to share?
Volunteer.
We appreciate it. Well, some of this stuff you can even do while social distancing, right?
Absolutely, yep. Research. You can do a lot of research while you're at home.
All right. If anybody has any more questions that they think of afterwards, just go ahead and email them to me, or you can email them directly to Glenn. With that, I think we'll close things out. Everybody have a great Saturday. Get out and do a little bit of social distancing while the sun is out and it's still slightly warm. So with that, we'll see you all next week. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you very much.
Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.